Hello everyone. Welcome to the 2024 Year in Review special of Wehry History and Entertainment News in the Berkshires and Beyond. 2024 was a great year for local arts and entertainment events. On this episode, I'll be reviewing the plays, art exhibits, concerts, and movies of 2024. This proved to be an extremely challenging task because, as I mentioned on the last episode, my computer died and I did not save the scripts. Therefore, I had to visit PCTV's website to get all the new information. I also visited several websites of the places I discussed about. Some of these websites had great archives. Despite these struggles, I still think I have an excellent year in review. First, it's time for this episode's trivia question. This episode's question is a two-part question, which is appropriate for the year-end show. The question is, what year did Berkshire Theater Group open? And how many plays were performed? Now, for the year in review headlines. A brief reminder, on the last episode, I discussed the Barrington Stage Company season and the Basketball Hall of Fame 2024 class. Our first stop on this portion, we'll look at local arts and entertainment businesses and their seasons. My biggest stop this year was Mass MoCA in North Adams. I seemingly had a story every episode for them because they are always adding in new events. One of their biggest events was the Fresh Grass Blues Festival. This annual concert focuses on bluegrass music and brings in thousands of people to Mass MoCA a year. Among the art exhibitions I discussed were Robin Frohard's Handmaid's World, To See Oneself at a Distance, Deep Water, and Jeffrey Gibson's Powerful Because We're Different, among others. I also discussed concerts, including Jennifer Cabot, Tomasi Jackson, Roomful of Teeth, Amy Yos, Dulce Sloan, Seung Kuti, the Kasambwe Brothers, and others. Also happening this year were several events at the Berkshire Theater Group. Their play selection this year was massive. This year's schedule included the play 4,000 Miles, which ran from May 16th through June 1st. The political play Abe Lincoln in Illinois, which played from June 15th through July 14th. The musical comedy Young Frankenstein, which played at the main stage in Pittsfield from June 29th through July 21st. Rodgers and Hammerstein's Pipe Dream, which played at the Unicorn Theater from July 28th through August 31st. The Weir, which played at the Unicorn Theater from September 28th through October 27th, and the famed A Christmas Carol, which is still actively running in Pittsfield. One of Berkshire Theater Group's most popular events is concerts, and they had a wide range of them this year. These included Rev Tour's 12th Annual Dead of Winter Jam, Zepco, a tribute to Led Zeppelin and Bad Company, Leppard, the Def Leppard Experience, Running on Jackson, the premier Jackson Browne tribute concert, Pittsfield City Jazz Festival, From Rags to Riches to Duke, featuring the Marcus Roberts Trio, and Pink Floyd's The Wall, a theatrical concert experience. For a full list of their events this year, and every show that they've ever done, visit the website shown here. Berkshire Theater Group also provides the answer to this episode's trivia question. As a reminder, it is a two-part question. This episode's question was, what year did Berkshire Theater Group open, and how many plays were performed? The answer to the first part of this question is 1928. And the answer to the second part of the question is 10. The plays were, in alphabetical order, The Buffoon by A. Tupper and Howard Lee, Canadia by George Bernard Shaw, Captain Applejack by Walter Hackett, The Cradle Song by Gregorio Martinez Sierra, The Enchanted April by Cain Campbell, Meet the Wife by Lynn Starling, Mr. Pym Passes By A. Milne, who is more famous as the author of the Winnie the Pooh franchise, Outward Bound by Sutton Vane, The Romantic Age, also written by A. Milne, and The Swan by Fernek Molnar. This was the first production ever performed at Berkshire Theater Group. I also talked about the Clark Art Museum and Institute and its many, many exhibits. Their exhibits included Edvard Munch's Trembling Earth, Paper Cities, Katia St. Hilari's Invisible Empires, Guillemare Lethieri, Fragile Beauty, Treasures from the Corning Museum of Glass, Edgar Degas, Multimedia Artist in the Age of Impressionism, and David Jeremiah's I Drive Thee. I also talked about the museum's history and how it came to be one of Berkshire County's best places to visit. The Stationery Factory in Dalton and the Mahawi Theater in Great Barrington also had interesting seasons. The Stationery Factory was home to many interesting events. One of their most fascinating events was the Bike Film Festival. festival, which has been seen in over 100 cities around the world, made its first stop to Berkshire County this year. The films were about bikes, and people traveled to the stationery factory on bikes. This went along with their usual concerts, of which there were many. Likewise, Wehry also had several concerts this year. Among the artists that performed this year included Lyle Lovett, Lisa Loeb, Bo Deans, Kev Moe, Ben Folds, and Suzanne Vega, among others. I also discussed smaller arts and entertainment companies. Usually, I only had one or two pieces on these places, but they are still very important in discussing the year that Berkshire County had. These included, but were not limited to, the Williams College Museum of Art, Greylock Glen, which finally opened this year after several false starts, Norman Rockwell Museum, Shakespeare and Company, the Jacob's Pillow Dance Festival, and the Williamstown Theater Festival. All of these places had significant seasons, but for some reason or another, I failed to discuss them as much as I should have. In 2025, I will try to include more of these stories. For our next portion of the Year in Review special, I'll be focusing on the histories I did. Learning about the background of some of Berkshire County's famed arts and entertainment institutions is always fascinating to me. One of the 2024 places that I constantly visited were libraries. There were several libraries of interest, including Lenox, Dalton, and Lee. However, my favorite library was the New York City one, which I discussed during a train trip portion. According to a pamphlet I received from them, quote, "Founded more than 125 years ago, the New York Public Library is the largest library system in the country, featuring a unique combination of neighborhood branches and scholarly research centers. Serving tens of millions of patrons a year, in person and online, the library holds over 56 million items, including our renowned research collection used by scholars from around the world," end quote. The coolest library in this system was the Stavros Niratsos one, as it contained 8 floors of rental books, DVDs, CDs, and more. Hopefully, next year's libraries will continue to be of interest. Other places I visited were local colleges. These included Williams College and Berkshire Community College. One college that was not discussed in WWHEN this year, Bard College at Simon's Rock, located in Great Barrington, faced an unfortunate story. The Great Barrington campus is closing, and all students and staff will be relocated to the New York campus on Annandale-on-Hudson in New York. This college was a historic one, as it was one of the only colleges in the country dedicated to students still in high school. Yet another history that I talked about was that of the Berkshire Museum. It is currently going through some major changes. As part of its overall renovation and reinvention, the museum is moving the aquarium and its basement residents to a new home on the first floor in a space long occupied by the Little Cinema. It is unknown when the new aquarium will open up, but WWHEN will keep viewers informed on events in the next year. Typically, Wehry Park in Pittsfield is one of the most popular places to visit in the summer because of its lively Pittsfield Suns games. However, due to repeated issues with the grandstands, the Suns were not able to play a single game this season. Despite this, there are some positive changes happening to the stadium. In August, it was announced that the consultants working with the city's efforts to rebuild the Wehry Park grandstand have the go-ahead to draw up architectural plans and construction documents for the $28.4 million project. Now a timeline is set in place for the completion of the restoration of Wehry Park. On a downer note, this timeline suggests that there won't be any games played in 2025 either, due to the slow start of building the stadium. In a somewhat related note, one of the segments I discussed this year focused on how baseball may, or may not, have been invented in Pittsfield and how it influences Pittsfield in the future. One of my favorite stories this year was doing road trips. Our first stop is to Springfield. Last episode, I already discussed the Basketball Hall of Fame. Springfield has way more than that, however. In fact, Springfield has a series of 5 museums that are located near each other. They are the Smith Art Museum, the Springfield Science Museum, the Lyman and Mary Wood Museum of Springfield History, the Michelle and Donald D'Amore Museum of Fine Arts, and the Amazing World of Dr. Seuss Museum. Another place I visited for a road trip is Worcester, to visit the Worcester Red Sox, or the Woo Sox. This is the AAA team of the Boston Red Sox, which only moved from Pawtucket, Rhode Island a few years ago. So the team plays at a fresh stadium. If you missed the Pittsfield Suns this year, they made for a good substitute for baseball lovers. Holyoke was also a good place to visit. Their Look Park provides for great summer activities at a low, low price. Finally, I talked about the bright lights in Springfield and how they are some of the best in the country. It's now time for one of my favorite year-end review portions, the movie segment. As you can tell by this show, I love films. 2024 provided another interesting year at the box office. Since there were no strikes, actors and writers were free to promote their films as much as they could. However, there was a trend at the box office. Franchise films. As of last check, all 10 of the highest grossing films of 2024 were sequels, as were 15 of the top 20. People love familiar movies, and they tend to sell better than the original. While I like original films as well, my top 6 personal favorite movies of the year were all sequels. Note that I have not seen the box office hit Deadpool and Wolverine yet. That will be my first movie review of 2025, due to seeing delays in the movie. At number 6 was Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire. This was the first movie I saw in theaters this year, and its action scenes were extremely strong. At number 5, Twisters. What I really liked about this movie was how it was paced, and the fact that you didn't need to see the 1996 movie Twister before seeing this one. At number 4 was A Quiet Place Day One. This was a prequel to the A Quiet Place film series, and it really provided for some background and great scares. At number 3 was Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. The new Planet of the Apes series are among my favorite films, and this one lived up to the previous films by combining great special effects with real characters. Now, I said I had 6 films. That's because I have a dead heat for my favorite film of 2024. They are Inside Out 2 and Furiosa. Inside Out 2 was, as of last check, the highest grossing movie of the year. And it earns that title with heart, humor, and even a little terror. Furiosa was the prequel to my favorite film ever, Mad Max Fury Road. But it came pretty close to Fury Road's heights, with non-stop action and a great lead character. I just couldn't separate Inside Out 2 and Furiosa. And they will be making future appearances on WWHEN as part of RT's favorite films. For the last part of this episode, I am going to be discussing other events. These stories didn't fit into the arts and entertainment, histories, road trips, or movies of 2024. They belong in their own category. These included walking trails in Berkshire County. Berkshire County is famed for its walking trails, and I gave the 16 best in the Berkshires. This is a list I've given in the past, but it may be time for a new one in 2025. I also discussed the farmers markets of Berkshire County, but also mentioned some farms such as Whitney Farm and Gardens in Cheshire, Bartlett Orchards in Richmond, shown here, and the Ioka Family Farm in Hancock. I also discussed several fall and winter festivals happening in the Berksers, including the incredible Namkyog Pumpkin Show, favorite here on WWHEN, the North Adams Tree Lighting and Luminama, Hancock Saker Village Lights, Berkshire Botanical Gardens Holiday Market and Gallery of Wreaths, Nightwood at the Edith Wharton Mount, and more. Finally, while this may fall in line with the movie segment, I discussed the TV show I've been binge watching for the past 2 years, Top Chef. Before 2024 was up, I finally finished all 312 episodes that were up. I started watching this in 2023, but now I am all finished. That ends this episode of Wehry History and Entertainment News in the Berkshires and beyond. If you would like to watch this or any other WWHEN episode again, you can visit PCTV's website, shown here, or my YouTube page at RT Wehry. And I want to thank CTSB TV and NBCTC for showing my show on their public access station. Thank you. Have a happy new year, and see you in 2025.